Heidi, I am so delighted and excited for this conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Wendy, I'm thrilled to be here. It took a long time for us busy ladies to put this together, but it's going to be worth it.
Right, I think so too. And I think that sometimes when there are those speed bumps and reschedules and oddball
All the
things,
things.
which is not typical. I'm usually the one that is extending so much grace to other people needing to reschedule, and you just got to mirror that back to me in such lovely fashion more than
Well,
one
grace is
time.
karmic, so good for you.
I love that. Grace is karmic. I could not agree more.
I think so.
Fantastic. Well, please, let's just start out by having you share how you are saying yes to yourself in this season.
Absolutely. So I said yes to myself by publishing a book that while I worked my full-time job as an attorney,
Amazing.
but it was all not only yes to myself, it was also a caution to my four kids. So I was
Mm.
fulfilling my own sort of dream and journey to put, words to my stories and what I had been through a divorce and 10 years of dating, 104 dates and finding the love of my life. But it was
Yay!
also exactly like super happy ending, like, just beautiful story. But at the same time, it is saying to my kids that these are some lessons I feel like
Yeah.
I want to share with you so you don't repeat our mistakes or make the bad decisions, or at least have the best foundation and as much information as possible. So it was kind of this dual purpose thing that made me actually say, okay, I'm going to publish this thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I cannot wait to read it because I'm about to go into my dating era, which
Good.
it's been a minute. I think I was
Okay.
19 years old the last time I went on a date. And
That's okay.
right?
I have lots of advice around that, but
I'm so
my
glad.
my now husband, I was his first date after 26 years. And I had, of
Oh,
course, been on, 10 years worth of bad dates. And I kept saying to him, don't you want to go out and date? He had just, finished getting divorced and all of those things. And he said, no, I heard your stories. I'm good. So it's just like, he had to be reminded back then that like texting is a thing now, you don't need to like
right.
call someone on the phone.
Oh my gosh. Well, my cousin, who is now so lovingly partnered, was single for so many years, living in New York, and she's also a fantastic storyteller. And I thought she should be a one-woman show, sharing these insane stories about these blind dates that she'd gone on that were just outlandish and so fun to listen to, and
Exactly.
obviously so awful to live. And I'm assuming that you should also be a one-woman show. And I love that you have um canonized this
Yes.
experience because there's just something about, what they say, what's most personal is most universal. And it
Interesting.
can be
Yeah.
so helpful when somebody shares their experience and with a nod to the ridiculous or the
Sure. I
outlandish.
hope you laugh when you read it, for sure. I mean,
Uh,
other than making sure my kids had this information and I felt like if I published it, they had to read it. I
Right.
really believe in like spreading hope and love and things
Yes.
like that. I just feel like we're in an era where like spreading hope is so important.
Yeah.
And I felt like, my story, and I counsel a lot of women going through divorce, is hopeful. And what I didn't expect is it actually has played it definitely, if you're divorced, you're going to relate to these things. You'll laugh, maybe even cry a little bit, the whole
Probably.
thing. But I've heard from folks who are married and have been happily married, and they've used the book to actually reevaluate their relationship and want to kind of work harder, which was so lovely. And then I have so many friends, I think, because of the era that I'm in, bought it for their 20, 30 something kids.
Oh, I love
And
that.
these kids are reading it, and I'm hearing from them and talking to them, and just like I did with my kids. And I actually started a podcast with my 22-year-old
Oh
called
my
I
gosh,
Love
I
You More.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
And because we always say
perfect.
love you more to each other, and he is
Yes.
a dynamo, and we're talking about like dating and relationships generationally. And it has been for me fascinating because, how the 20 somethings tackle love and relationships and dating is very different than, how I did it either back then or when I was dating again in my 40s, 30s, and 40s.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I love that you started a podcast with him.
It's so fun. It's like my favorite thing that I do in my life, to be honest with you. It's
This
just,
is my favorite too.
it's so good. We have the best conversations. I've learned so much from him, and both about just like his life and like his thoughts, as well as just dating and love and relationships. And it's been great. So it's been very, very fun. And
I love
um
it.
back to your funny dating. Yes. I think, especially for someone like you that's going into it for the first time, I think you have to take it not so seriously.
Totally.
And I think I probably took it too seriously at the beginning, and I evolved to not taking it as seriously. And at the time, while I wasn't laughing the way I do now when I tell my hilarious dating stories, and sometimes they were frustrating, they are so funny. And now when you're
Right.
looking back at them, I mean, they really are, they could be a one-woman show. I mean, it is
Right.
some of the funny experience because people are not very, I don't know, has anyone tried to fix you up yet?
No, people are asking me if I'm ready.
Okay,
And
okay.
I
And
say, is he French? Does he own
listen,
a chateau?
you're never ready. Like,
Right.
you just do it. And that's why I actually like the apps at the beginning, because it's kind of like practice. I
Okay.
look at it like, to me, the apps were, although I did date two guys who I would have never met from Match.com way back when, as my son would call it, it was a situationship. I wouldn't call them relationships.
Oh,
But we
okay.
dated for a couple months here and there. But it's like it lets you vet people a little bit.
Mm,
And if you go out, like you're practicing for an interview, like you're getting your big job and you're practicing for an interview, this is just practice and have no expectations. It kind of just gets you into this open heart, open vibe kind of thing that
right.
I think makes it easier to just meet people generally. Like,
Yeah.
so I always say for people that are start dating, do the apps and then find something you love to do. And you'll just meet people by doing, one of my kids is in running club, and another one does ski stuff. They do these things where they join and meet people. And even if your person's not within that group, know people, and you're sort of
Right.
expanding your inner circle wider and wider, and your net gets bigger and bigger to like meet someone either through a fix up or in the wild, as people say.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, so those are, just, plus you're like doing something you love, whatever that is.
Right. First class lounge.
Exactly. There you
Yeah.
go. That's a great place to hang
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
I
I've
love it
got,
there.
yes, I have some vetting going on already. We're just, okay, this will work.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I would say I'm not, it's not that I'm not ready. I'm not interested. So does that mean I'm not ready? It's like
You
I'm,
definitely need to, I say two things, which I say to my kids too. I do feel like you have to be your best self or in your right place to be the
yeah,
kind of partner you want to be. I do feel
totally.
like oftentimes people are like divorced for a hot second and they like go out and start dating and they're
Yeah.
not doing the work. I mean, I did therapy like the entire 10 years I was
Yeah,
dating, and I was by no means the same person at the end of the 10 years that I was at the beginning. No way.
totally.
And
Exactly.
even though I pretty quickly understood and knew why my marriage didn't work, it still didn't put me in a place where I had the confidence that I could get the kind of partner that I wanted to get. And so I do think you have to be in that kind of mindset or whatever. But I do think, guys are much quicker to go out and just start dating and match up, and that's just in their genetics. And I think we're,
Right.
as a women generally, I'm probably overgeneralizing, I agree,
That's okay.
generally are a little more hesitant and resistant and reserved about like initially putting themselves back out there for sure.
I love my life so much,
I love that.
and I love not asking permission for anything. And I've been married twice,
Okay.
but I would say that I have never been partnered.
Mm.
So I do look forward to that. I look forward to partnership. I know in a partnership, I'm not gonna have to worry about asking permission.
I was
Like
just,
this
you literally
person
took
is
the
like,
words out of my
yeah,
mouth.
it's
Like
like,
that should not, in the right relationship, that doesn't happen. That's funny that you're using
course.
the word partner. So when obviously work at a law firm, I'm a
Yes.
partner. And so people always, I think, misuse that word. And I've
Right.
always said from day one that I wanted a partner. And post divorce and in therapy, and I was just looking for like someone who is my true partner. And on our first date, my now husband used that same word, which I think
Mm,
is like not as commonplace as you think.
right.
And that's what I ended up getting with him in my life. It's like a partner takes turns taking care of each other. And the first part of my book is actually research I conducted when I turned 40. And
Okay.
I decided, and this is a big admission, and I always say people can judge me. I decided at
Whatever.
40, I had never been in love.
Mhm.
So I had, yes, been married, I had been divorced, I had two kids, but I hadn't been what I felt like was in love. And
Right.
so I decided to start asking people who I felt I was close enough with to ask hard questions, but they also appeared to have very strong partner relationships.
Yes.
And I asked men and women. I asked older, younger, same sex, not all, very big array of about 55 people. And I basically took all of that information and I had these themes develop. And my
Mm,
questions were more around like, how did you know? What was it? What was it? There was a little bit of like, how are you still together and all of those things. But the first themes of the first half of my book were developed from this research. And one of the main pieces of research, the one that was probably the most profound to me, the theme,
yeah.
was this idea of taking care of each other and basically
Mm,
taking turns picking each other up. Like I was a serial helper, fixer, picker upper, all of those things,
overfunctioner.
over functioner. And my
Yes.
therapist gave me this great analogy back then that was like where life's a big ocean and there's these huge waves. And every once in a while, we're going to go down and we need someone to pull us up. And if you're constantly pulling up, like, you're going to get like tennis elbow and shoulder problems
Right.
and like all these things. But if you're taking turns, and it's not like one on one, but like
Mhm.
that it's this, this beautiful sharing kind of taking turns when each other needs it. And like, when his father is sick or dying and you're taking
Mm,
everything, and or when this is problems with one of the kids, like I'm going to handle that but you do the other, like I heard all of those
yeah.
stories, and it was such a prominent theme that it stuck with me
Mm,
more than anything because I hadn't had that and it was what I
right.
wanted so badly. And so that was very interesting, and I think that's sort of what you're getting at with what you're looking for.
Right. I think it's just for me, I'm obsessed also with people that are modeling for me what's available. And I
Mm-hmm.
love to be in the energy of people that love each other, but also really enjoy each other as
Yes.
well. And
Yes.
it's so beautiful. And what I've noticed is that their dynamic is dynamic. It is evolving. It
Mm-hmm.
is moving and growing, and they don't have the same hobbies or they don't like the same things, but for each person, their own commitment to their own alignment is more important than pleasing the other person. And
Yes.
I know like that is a paradigm shift. And it is how I'm living my life. And so I'm really looking forward to being partnered with somebody who is so committed to themselves that they're showing up and as their highest and best
Right.
in our relationship.
Right.
And I'm going to do the same.
Exactly. Exactly. And you don't need to be doing anything for anyone else, but like, they're going to appreciate it and see it in all of
Oh,
those things
sure.
anyways, because it's
Right.
sort of
Like
this
you can't
natural.
help but be
Yeah.
in service
Right. Which
when you are in alignment.
Exactly. It's so funny that you said you don't have to like the same things and all of that, which is so true. I think I have so many like friends who try these dating apps and they're just like, oh, he's like outdoorsy and he's this. And I'm like, who cares? Like my husband literally loves boats. He runs ports. He's been CEO. I hate boats. Like I sort of get on them now, but like, ugh. Like they're like I don't like them. I mean, he loves to hike and camp. You could not pay me $10 million to sleep in a tent. So it's like, you
I'm with
know,
you.
like a bougie log cabin. Yes, yes.
Right.
But like, no, I'm too old for that. So he goes with his friends, like
It's perfect.
what we have is very similar foundations. We were raised similarly, very similar pasts, very similar, which align us. And I would say we have very similar goals for the future.
Mm,
And, those kinds of things and values, you know what I mean? Those are like the foundational things that I try to tell my kids you need to look for in a partner. It doesn't matter if like, one skis and one doesn't.
right. Right. It's so I think it's really fabulous that you're having these conversations with your son, that you've written this book, that you are in the memory of how you got here also enhances your appreciation for the journey and for your husband and for yourself and your own growth. It's just this beautiful love fest that you're
Thank you.
having, and I love it so much. And even in the way that you're getting to talk about it now, it's reminding you, of course, like it wasn't all glitter and
Oh
unicorns,
no.
right? Which is why there were 104 of them. And but still like you start to see these are the experiences that gave me the contrast required
Right. You learn
to,
from all of those
yeah,
things, I think. I think that people don't even realize how much they learn from good dates, bad
yeah,
relationships, all of those things. And then there's going to be people, you might want to go out with and they don't want to go out with you. And think about that. And, like I think if you show up as your authentic self and you communicate and are honest, like I'm a huge, like, ghosting, I don't care how old you are, that's just pathetic and ridiculous, those kinds
yes.
of things. So if you come at it from like an adult mature perspective, but to your other point, one of the things that I include in the book is I actually kept journals, not
Mm.
consistently,
Mhm.
because I was a single mom of what was a 3 and 5 year old as we evolved when I
Wow.
got divorced, and then during all this process. And but I included some of those journal entries in the book. And they were hard to read for myself. And I
Right.
would say when my husband and the son that I do the podcast with read it, that was the hardest for them to read because they're sad, they're lonely,
Mhm.
there's even a few that are pretty hopeless. They're like, I'm
Mm.
never going to find my person and I'm so alone and I'm raising these kids alone. And it was pretty authentic. And I did share
Right.
them, word for word. I didn't share any journal entries about any specific dates or people just for like
Right.
privacy reasons, but
Sure.
I did share them and I was glad to do that because I do think sometimes you have to look back to see how far you've come. And I think some
For
of us are
sure.
like running so fast, we don't stop and we don't look
Yes.
back. And this whole experience has taught me that looking back to see how far I've come as myself, as a partner, as a parent is tremendous. So
Mm.
that is something that I'm like very, very proud of. But what I wanted to share in the book is, yes, I'm going to tell you like my hilarious, Jewish speed dating story. But at the same time, you have to read my journal entry when I had like yet another horrible date that I was excited about for whatever reason, and it didn't work out, and it was hard to kind of, you know, I took breaks. I did, it wasn't like I was like on a mission or whatever.
Sure.
It was, sometimes sporadic with breaks in between when I like was mentally able to do it for the most part.
Right. Because it's 10 years is a long time.
It was a long time. Yes, my single mom, I love my relationship with my kids because of that. I do think we have like a bit of a more spot. And I was a true single mom for a variety of reasons. Their dad really wasn't in their life, and
Mhm.
they,
That's interesting. Can I actually ask you about that? Because for a while, my divorce process was 3.5 years. And
wow.
yeah. So I'm only just finalized
Hmm.
recently. So that's
Okay.
why I'm like really just trying to keep up with
Yes.
my whole life right now.
Yes.
But when people would say, well, and you're a single mom, like you're doing all of the, and I felt like I couldn't say that because I thought it meant her dad wasn't around, like he's co-parenting, but they're like, no, it means you're not partnered. I'm like, oh, well, then I've been a single mom my whole life.
Well,
You know what I mean? So
I think I think there's different versions of single motherhood for sure. I think anyone
right.
who's not partnered is a single mom. I was a true I was both
No
parents.
break.
I
Yeah,
I was, but no, that's actually not true because I had a village and I ended up getting an au pair.
good.
I had a very busy practice and I, had a family to
You
support
you
and
could have a very busy yoga practice and have an au pair. It's
yes,
okay. Like
right. I
everyone
know.
gets to do, like, please be your best self. And
Right, and
that usually
I
requires
recognize
support.
100%. I just recognize that that's a privilege that not
Totally.
everybody can have.
Yeah.
And that did give me a lot more of a
Yeah.
runway. But at the same time, we had someone in our life who we then later called Nana, who was like initial babysitter that raised my kids. My
Mm,
parents were helpful. I have some very close friends who, are aunts to my kids. So it really truly,
nice.
the it takes a village is like I felt like I, needed that banner in my house and it did and it
Right.
was helpful. So I did feel like I had a lot of help, even though I was, but what's hard is, which I'm sure you can relate to, it's making all the hard decisions by yourself is like that to me was the hardest part about the single motherhood is when there were problems and issues and challenges.
Hmm.
Like as much as I felt like I could talk to my friend, at the end of the day, your kids best, and
Yeah.
that was really like where I found my largest struggle.
Yeah. I
How old's your daughter?
she's 12.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
she's
you're right.
amazing.
You're right at the cusp of, is she still
Yeah.
nice to you or is she in
She
that?
is. She
Good.
is, but she is different than me.
Yeah.
And I have sticky notes to remind me that she is different than me. She's introverted, and
Mhm.
I've heard that word before, but I have no idea what that means. And so thankfully, podcast interview days are great because when I pick her up from school and she just wants to sleep in the car all the way home, and I've used some of my words with some other people. So that's good because I'm asking her about her day and how was this and how was that. She's like, Mom, I need to rest. It's like,
Just
what are you
wait.
talking about?
You're at the cusp. Just wait. It gets hard. It gets worse before it gets better. But yeah.
Right. I'm just grateful that she uses her words, and I love when she's sharing how she feels, knowing that it's different than what I expect. And I love when I am taking care of myself so that I'm in a good place to hear that and honor her and share with her, like, oh, thank you for telling me what it's like for you. That's not my experience. So I really appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, okay. Thanks, Mom. It's my pleasure. Are you okay? Are you gonna shut the door? Like, is okay. Oh my gosh, she's shutting the but the fact that she told me she was gonna shut the door makes it soothes my nervous system
Right.
because
Right.
because
Yeah.
otherwise I would just make it
Hardest job on
mean
earth.
for sure. And it takes all day long every day. And conscious parenting takes like 6 days long every
Yeah.
day because you're like,
And it doesn't
okay,
end when they leave the nest. I'll show you that much.
I
So
bet. I bet. Yes. So my m- when I really feel the single part is I'm have a bed and breakfast on a small flower farm. So
right.
there's some two people jobs. So I feel badly when people come over, like if they're picking someone up or, something up or getting peonies, and like, hey, can you just help me really fast move this table? Because, pardon me, I can't do all of this stuff by myself. But
Right.
so yeah,
It takes a
the
village.
two people jobs, that's when I really feel it. But
Yeah.
her dad is great and he loves and adores her. And I'm so happy he's capable of that and that
But
he saved it all up for her, which is
well,
fantastic.
that's important though too. So that's good.
Absolutely. Oh
That's
my
good.
gosh. Yes. Perfect. So, how long after you found your fabulous king, um, did you write the book?
So I actually wrote the first 8 chapters when I was 40. So it
Okay.
was about 3 years before I met Will. It was like,
Okay.
we have these milestone quote unquote birthdays. Whoever
Mhm.
made that up, I have no idea, but
Right.
they make you reflect. And at the
Event
time,
planners. Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, having this big birthday and it was reflecting on my life and, what was missing. And at the time I was actually dating somebody
Okay.
who was a great guy. He was younger than me and, it was definitely still a situationship. He was a single
Okay.
dad, I was a single mom and I don't even know over 6 months we saw each other. I can count how many times,
Right.
but he was a good guy, but I was like, okay, wait, is this like love? I don't
Right.
know. Like you like I like him a lot and we have fun
Yeah.
together. And I was like, then I was like, I don't know. How do I not know? And that's when I started freaking out and doing the research.
Right.
And so I wrote the first, we did soon break up after that. It was not
Sure.
love. And he has since found love and he deserves it. He's a fabulous guy.
Perfect.
We still keep in touch. He's a great person. Um, and then, so I wrote that and then I kind of tucked them away.
Okay.
And I had him on like, how you can save things to your desktop, but I saved it
Right.
to my desktop. And, I guess the cloud in all these years or whatever. And a couple of years ago, I met Will when I was 43. We just
Okay.
celebrated our 10th anniversary. A couple of years
Yay.
ago, I found it. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this. But in the back of my mind, for sure, while I continued to date after that, I had those themes in my head.
Right.
And, I was applying them and I was like, oh my God, almost every one of them applies to Will. It'd be really fun
Mm.
to write a book of like the next chapters. And I was just like, I'm just gonna play around. And then I mentioned it to a friend and she's like, you need to publish this. And I was like, no, and then it just sort of took on a life of its own and I decided to do it. And so the second part kind of applies the lessons to my own relationship and all of my dates.
Oh.
And then I have a couple of lessons of my own and then, or themes of my own. And then the third part are love lessons, basically what I've taken away from my research, my own relationship and my 104 dates and kind of what are my lessons from that. The number one of which is do not settle, which, as I say,
Right.
is as simple. It really needs no explanation, frankly. So that, and that's how it came to be. And so I just published it. It came out on Valentine's Day. And
Aw.
so it was quite a bit after it was first birthed, frankly,
Right.
I decided to kind of write the rest of it.
Oh, I love that so much. Now, I know you said it's self-explanatory to not settle, but I really do think that, I mean, I'm really eager to hear you unpack what that means for you because I don't, a lot of our conditioning teaches us and expects us and equips us to settle. And if we push back a little bit, we're selfish, we're entitled, we're, all of these things that can sometimes cause us just to go back and, think, well, okay, I guess I just am not enough. I'm just going to tolerate
Oh,
this
but
the
but
way
that
that
but
it
that
is.
means you haven't done all the work. And so
No, right,
that
exactly.
that's what I think I can honestly say that before I met Will, probably like within the year or so before I met Will, like after that whole research project and everything else, I definitely decided that I would rather be alone.
Yep.
Not that I would rather, but like I decided that I will be alone if I don't
Mhm.
find the right person because I was not going to settle. And when I say it's simple, it's really about learning to trust your gut and listen to
Mhm.
your gut. And when you have doubts, or you can call them red flags, you could call them whatever you want to call them, you kind of rationalize them or minimize them or all of the things. And I found that everyone I had dated before Will, I was rationalizing or minimizing, or my gut told me one thing. One for just as a good example,
Please.
um I never introduced out of so I did not date 104 people. I
Right.
went on 104 dates. I dated about 55 people.
Okay.
Most of those were one date. Some of them were
Right.
15 minutes. But I did
Yeah.
date like 4 or 5 guys for some period of time, no more
Mhm.
than 6 months, but like, here, I never introduced anybody to my kids.
Oh,
So
interesting.
one of my love lessons is it's not a play date. I feel very strongly that, like at the time, I had my now 22-year-old was a guy that was really looking for a father figure, and
Mm,
and I knew he would be attached. He's a super outgoing, emotive kid,
yeah.
and I just felt that until I was sure, I'm not, I had seen friends kind of have to struggle with introducing someone and then they break up, and it was just a decision I made. But I will tell you that within a month of dating Will, I introduced him to my kids.
Oh,
I literally can tell you on our wedding day for sure. I mean, I didn't have a doubt in my mind. I didn't have a
right.
doubt in my mind when he asked me. I mean, there
Yeah.
wasn't even like a single, my biggest concern, frankly, which is anyone who's dating somebody who has kids, is I was very nervous about bringing our families together. Not
Sure.
a single thing about him, but which is like normal nervousness, and we'd have to
Mhm.
figure that out. And we did that together. And in fact, the thing that I'm most proud of in my life, frankly, is the family that we've built together, because we
Oh,
really built this
beautiful.
super beautiful blended family that I think is the exception to the rule for
Yes.
blended families. There's plenty of them out there, but um ours is really beautiful, and it took time and patience and all of that. So
Right.
I do think when it's right, you truly will not have, you don't have to talk yourself into anything.
Right.
You really do know.
Yeah.
And you have to have done enough work that your gut is tuned up enough to
Right.
feel those sensations.
Yeah. Yes. And we, as like the listeners of this show, certainly me, I'm so committed to my morning practice and in exercising those muscles of alignment, of listening to my intuition, of listening to what feels right, whether it's should I plant this flower or that flower, or should I say yes to this opportunity, or what water heater should I buy? Like, oh, I've
Right,
had to make so many of those decisions,
right.
but for me, this practice of checking in with myself, listening to my body has been something that I've honed over the long process of my divorce. So that is how I make a decision about what we're having for dinner or what cocktail I'm going to make on Friday night for Instagram. All of these things I've practiced it. So I do believe that when I meet that guy or whatever, I'm going to know what the next logical step is. And if it gets farther along, I'll just know that too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. So it's just doing that work.
Right.
And then it gets you to that place. So I mean, I have a friend, I've said this a couple of times, but I think it's so poignant, I guess, is what I would say, is she made up a term called Noah's Ark syndrome. Shout
Oh,
out to
okay.
Bernadette. And this is kind of the concept that we all sort of have this automatic thought that we need to be paired up,
Mm,
that everyone's paired up. It's true, no one would get on that ship or boat by
right.
themselves or whatever. And so I thought that was so brilliant when she
Yeah.
said that, because I think that's part of a problem for a lot of people. I mean, I do
Mhm.
have people that are like, I love a good cocktail party where I'm like,
Yeah.
someone who's saying, I'm like, well, are you dating? Because then I get into get to talk about my book and all that
Right.
fun stuff and my bad dates. And, and 90% of the time it's like, yes, but, they like to complain and we have fun stuff to talk about. But so every once in a while they're like, no, and I don't want to be,
Yeah.
which is, bless you. You
Right.
don't need to be. That's your choice too.
Yeah.
So, but I always say, don't say that if you're just scared or don't think you're worthy. If that's truly what you're
Right.
choosing as your optimal self, then go for it. So, but if you want to find a partner, there's paths to do that too.
For sure. Oh my gosh. I really can't wait to read this book. It's so
I hope
fun.
so. Read it, buy it for your friends, listen to our
Yes.
podcast, all of the
Yes.
things.
Yes. It's amazing. So, what are you hoping people are going to take away? Who did you
Sure.
write
I
this
mean,
for?
literally hoping is hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
really want to say that I think that there's hope. And the other thing I would say is I like to kind of tell this story as often as I can. So I was fixed up with my husband, and
Okay.
I was fixed up with my husband through a really good friend at yoga. Who, when I say really good friend at yoga, she's now one of my dearest friends. At the time,
Mm.
she was not a dear close friend. Okay.
Sure.
And so yoga was kind of my saving grace,
Mm.
and that's where, what I spent a lot of time doing, hot yoga. It was like, where type A's go to kind of breathe when they're going through hard times.
Okay.
So that's what I did. And I met Anne and these other two guys and became this sort of front row crew, looking at the front row, looking at the wall so we could do our yoga. And it's a longer story that I do tell in the book, but she ended up knowing my husband through work, did not even know him well, but had an intuition about him. And
Mm-hmm.
so the first thing I did is I kind of put myself out there by going to yoga and doing things. Obviously I was dating. But the second thing I always like to talk about is what we started talking about at the beginning, is karma and luck and giving things up to the universe. And I
Mm-hmm.
truly do believe that you have to recognize that there's a component of this, that as long as you do your job, you're
Mm-hmm.
not just sitting on your couch watching Real Housewives of, Salt Lake City,
Right.
as good as it is. Um, but you are doing other things that you have to give it up. And the story I tell, and I think it's so pertinent, and I just want people to think about this, is my now husband lived in Indianapolis with his two kids and his ex-wife, now ex-wife, and was vice president of sort of a part of a very large real estate company. He kind of ran a
Okay.
division of it. And in 2009, the market crashed and they closed the division or laid off whatever. He lost his job. At the time, he will literally tell you that was one of his worst days of his life.
Mm.
His ex-wife was a stay-at-home mom. Her work
Okay.
was in the home, and he had two middle school boys at the time who
Yeah.
were very integrated in Indiana. His mother lived there. She was kind of played a very large role in the boys' lives, blah, blah, blah. So he literally didn't know how he was putting food on I mean, this is when
Right.
you're like, God, how is this happening? So he ends up getting the CEO of the Port of Cleveland job, moving to Cleveland, where he later will meet my yoga friend who will later introduce him to me after he gets divorced and whatever.
Right.
So, which was like he got divorced fairly soon after he moved. And this was like, we always laugh because his oldest like wouldn't even talk to him for months. And he's the best kid in the world. He's 29 now, so it's
Yeah.
a joke among us. But so at the time, you would have thought that was the worst luck in the world.
Right.
And so we always say there's like in yoga, one of my yoga teacher tells the story. It's like when something happens, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And so
Right.
I would just say what I like to sort of my message and what I want people to take away is sometimes you think something like a divorce or the end of a relationship or whatever is like the worst thing that's ever happened to you. And I would just say good luck, bad luck, who knows? And
Right.
you just have to say yes and do
Yep.
these things and then surround yourself by good karma. I really do believe in giving to the universe what you want to get back. And
Yep.
I think that I love giving hope and love, and I hope to get love and hope back. And I
Right.
think that that's so important.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I couldn't agree more.
That's sorry, I didn't mean
Perfect.
the story to end up being so long. I don't know how it ended up so
I
long.
love it.
Okay.
No, I love it. It's perfect. No, it's so good. And we all need to be reminded, even when we know the things, we're like, oh, no, that works for a parking place, but it doesn't work for a husband. No, it works for like it's all the things. It's the
It's
law
all
of
the things.
attraction. And
Exactly.
what we focus on
Exactly.
grows. And this is all the work that we're doing and applying into every area of our life. And I'm so happy that you're so happy.
Yes, I'm very lucky too. I mean, I do feel like um part of the reason our relationship is actually as solid and wonderful as it is because of where we came from. We both sort of came from
Right.
similar, difficult, challenging paths.
Right.
And so it's sort of, but I would go on those paths all over again to end up where I
Same.
am. So you got to think of it that way. It's like that we
Right.
have all those little pieces come together to make you who you are now. So
Exactly. Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so much. I have
thank you,
loved
Wendy. I'm
this
so glad we finally
conversation.
got this
Me.
together. You're gonna have to keep me posted on your dating,
Oh
okay?
gosh. Well, it's I almost going to say you'll have to be around for a long time, but I
I'm
am
patient.
I am leaving that up to the universe and I
Okay,
am certain that it will be at the beautiful right time.
good.
All the cooperative components will come together and I'll just say yes to myself.
I love
It's
it.
so good.
Perfect.
So please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can get their hands on the book, all the good things.
Absolutely. So Love Lessons, 104 Dates and the Stories That Led Me to True Love is on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com and all of those places. So buy 1 and 10 for your friends or whatever. You can
Perfect.
follow me at Love Lessons 104 on Instagram or email me at lovelessons104@gmail.com and would be thrilled if you'd also like and follow I Love You More on Apple and Spotify as we continue to kind of focus on and grow our podcast, Zach and I, and talk a lot about generational dating and relationships.
I love everything. It's so good. We
Thank
will
you,
link
Wendy. I'm gonna have to
all
take
of
a trip to
that.
Massachusetts and stay at your
Yeah,
B&B.
please. I would love that. Yes. And we'll link everything down in the show notes. But
Awesome.
thank you so much for your time, Heidi. I have
Thank
loved this
you.
conversation.
I loved it too. Thanks, Wendy.